Madam Secretary, can we go ahead and, now that we're called to order, can we go ahead and have the roll call, please?
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Chair McCauley.
Here.
Vice Chair Aldridge.
Here.
Commissioner Beaumont.
Here.
Commissioner Fortney.
Here.
Commissioner Alan Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Brett Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Nicolai. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. If you would all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I have an official statement that I'm going to read about how we will proceed with tonight's meeting. But before I do that, something that just is important for us to understand is this is a slightly different format because we have off-site public participation. There may be times when it seems like there's dead air or we're simply waiting for people to have the opportunity to call in. Our focus will be on giving people adequate time to call in. So if it seems we're a little slow, that's intentional in order to maximize public participation. And I do have a statement to read that's been prepared in conjunction with the city and county public health officials. Pursuant to the governor's executive order N-25-20, we have adjusted the format of tonight's planning commission to comply with social distancing while allowing for public participation. We have another meeting room available across the hall where people can move if needed. State and county public health officials are encouraging adults over 65, individuals with compromised immune systems, or those with chronic medical conditions to practice social distancing and to stay at home. Public health officials are advising these individuals to avoid group activities and spending time in public areas. All others are advised to follow social distancing measures by maintaining a distance of 6 feet around you and others. And we are asking people to make sure they maintain that in this room. If you are feeling ill tonight, please excuse yourself and participate via remote options and contact your health provider for advice. In addition, public health officials encourage individuals to take measures to reduce the transmission of disease by avoiding touching your face, your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. If you cough, you should cough or sneeze into your elbow, not into your hands. And you should sanitize when possible and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. We have a moderator here tonight in the room, and she will go over some information about the use of technology in tonight's meeting. Please be patient with us now that we have a system that when you push a button, it lets your name up. People are sitting in different locations, so we'll have to remember when one name comes up, it may be a different person, and to call on the right person. This will be a little slow. We will make sure people in this room and remotely have an opportunity to participate. Please be patient with us and the technology as we're learning. Ms. Welty, do you wish to go ahead and talk about the online participation?
Thank you, yes. Also, I want to let you know that I have Commissioner Nicolai now on the line. He just joined. Shall I unmute him for roll call?
We can recognize that Commissioner Nicolai is now on and he does not need to specifically call in.
Thank you. So a few matters of housekeeping regarding the use of technology in tonight's meeting. In addition to a handful of people who are here in council chambers maintaining social distance, we have members of the Planning Commission, and we may at some point this evening have members of the public joining via phone or phone and screen sharing. In that case, screen sharing is projecting exactly what's on the projector in the room. If you're viewing this meeting online and would like to join the conference call, to comment on the meeting, please follow the instructions on screen to join and or participate. You can join by phone without the internet by calling 877-853-5257 and entering the meeting ID as is on the screen. If you are joining by phone only, we will do our best to determine and refer to attendees by name, but if needed, we will use the last 4 digits of your phone number, and we may ask you to identify yourself to make it easier to call on you if you would like to speak again. This meeting is being broadcast via the regular channels, but there is a slight delay. If you're watching the meeting online or on channel 26, The broadcast will be delayed compared to the meeting that is occurring here and is being transmitted over the phone and via screen sharing. This is just like the delay that many of you have experienced when calling into your favorite radio program. Chat functions are open with the host only to address technical issues, questions about technology, etc. Please bear with me if I'm taking any time getting back to you. Please note that all attendees are muted unless they are recognized to speak, at which time I will unmute you depending on your settings. You may need to open your mic by pressing *6 or pressing the mute or unmute button. And I thank you all in advance for your patience.
Thank you. And again, to emphasize, we are not moderating your ability to participate. You won't be called or not called upon depending upon the content of what you have to say. We simply have somebody here to make sure the technology is working right. We'll leave that information up on how to join in while we're doing the next couple of items. And then in between items, we'll post this up again. So the new people joining in will have an opportunity to see what is there. So this is the first item under item 3, which is communications. Director Brierly, do we have other communications under item number 3?
We have one letter from Yes in My Backyard on the Harbison Senior Apartment Project.
And that was the letter that was distributed by email to the commissioners earlier
Yes.
today. Okay. Thank you. That concludes item number 3, communications. Item number 4 is the approval of the agenda, and it has been recommended that items 8A and 8B, which are an annual report of the general plan and an update on the land use and development code, neither of which has any timeliness issues. So it's being recommended that those 2 items be continued to a regular meeting of April 21st, 2020. So with that recommended change to the agenda, are there any other proposed changes to the agenda? And if not, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
So Commissioner Aldrich has moved, Commissioner Alan Johnson has seconded that the agenda be approved as proposed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Nicolai, we did not hear your participation either way on the agenda. Now is the time for business from the floor. This is the time to address the commission with issues that are not on the agenda tonight, but that are within the commission's subject matter jurisdiction. Maximum of 3 minutes per speaker or group in accordance with the government code and the Vacaville Municipal Code. So if you are online and wish to participate in business from the floor, please let the moderator know. But first I'll ask, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address us on something that is within our jurisdiction but is not on tonight's agenda? I see no one coming forward. Crystal, is there anyone indicating online that they'd like to participate in business from the floor?
No, I did unmute Commissioner Nicolai.
Okay. If
That's
you would
all.
leave Commissioner Nicolai unmuted during the entire time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So seeing that, I will go ahead and close business from the floor. Our next item is number 6, the consent calendar. The only item on the consent calendar is the approval of the minutes from the February 18th, 2020 meeting. Are there any proposed amendments or corrections? Okay. Seeing none, Commissioner Johnson, is that an indication you wish to move that we approve them?
No, I'd like to abstain just because I was absent.
Understood. We'll have one abstention. Will someone make a motion for the approval? Commissioner Beaumont? I'll move. Commissioner Beaumont moves approval. Commissioner Fortney seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain?
Aye.
Commissioner Brent Johnson abstains. Other than that, it is approved 601.
Aye.
Thank you. We heard you clearly, Commissioner Nicolai. The next is item number 7, a public hearing on the Harbison Senior Apartments, file number 19349.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess there's a delay. I apologize.
Okay, Commissioner Nicolai, that's fine. If you wish to participate, just say, I have something to say. It may take us a moment to hear it. We'll go ahead and stop and give you that opportunity. So hopefully that works for you. At this point, Chair Brierly, who is going to make the staff presentation?
Albert Denault, our
Thank you.
associate planner, will give the report.
Okay.
Good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the Planning Commission. The item before you tonight is a project called the Harbison Senior Apartments. What staff received was a plan development request and an environmental review request. to construct a 168 senior restricted apartment unit project at the northwest corner of Harbison Drive and Eulanis Drive. A little bit about the project. It consists of 3 parcels that make up 8.86 acres, results in a density around 19 units per acre. The project includes 3 3-story buildings, a 2-story clubhouse, and a single-story fitness center. The site plan includes various amenities. The apartment units will have floor plans that range in floor area from 683 square feet to 1,227 square feet. Primary access would be provided off of Harbison Drive. Secondary emergency vehicle access would be off of Eulatis Drive. The project architecture resembles a mission-style design. And reviewing the project, it complies with the city's code standards for development for multifamily development. This is a site plan that shows landscaping and building layout for the project. As you can see, Eulatis Drive to the south, Harbison Drive to the east. The 3 apartment buildings labeled Building 1, 2, and 3 would be the 3-story buildings. The clubhouse, fitness center, and then the various on-site amenities and perimeter landscaping, as well as inside landscaping for around those amenities. This is a graphic provided by the applicant showing what the view would look like from Harbison Drive as you're entering the project site, with a clubhouse on the left and an apartment building on the right. This is the front of the clubhouse with the main entrance and a portico covering for our vehicles driving in through it. This is from the back of the project of the clubhouse that shows the swimming pool spa and the patio areas and balcony areas for the clubhouse. And this is just an overall layout of what the interior of the project would look like with the apartment buildings and the other amenities that would be provided within the project site. So in reviewing this request and the applicant's proposal to construct this project, reviewed the Land Use and Development Code and development standards for it, and found that there is reasons for supporting the project, primarily because it meets the required findings for developing this type of project. It complies with the city's general plan and zoning requirements. It complies with development standards. It provides more housing. It's a good design, and it's located next to transit center, shopping area, the Vacaville Commons, and other job sources. So with that, staff has a recommendation for the Planning Commission to reaffirm the general plan environmental impact report and to approve the plan development for the Harbison Senior Apartments, subject to the conditions of approval. That concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions, as well as the applicant and the project engineer.
Thank you, Albert. Before we go further, I need to disclose I had a meeting approximately 5 weeks ago with the applicant and the engineer at the engineer's office. The project was explained to me from the applicant's point of view, and several points of the project design were lobbied. So I do need to make sure I'm disclosing that ex parte communication. Do any other commissioners have ex parte that they need to disclose? Commissioner Aldrich?
Yes, I met with the applicant several weeks ago to discuss the project.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, I also met with the applicant to have the project explained to me, some of the finer details that I couldn't see, and it was ex parte hearing.
Thank you. Commissioner Beaumont?
I also met with the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a little upset that I didn't get to meet with him.
For
Chair
those who
McCauley?
are watching,
Excuse me,
okay,
Chairman.
the city attorney wishes to speak. Go ahead.
I would recommend that if any of the commissioners have received any additional information from the applicant that has not been included in our staff report, that the information that you've been provided, to the extent that you would rely on that information for any decision made tonight, that you disclose that information for the public record this evening.
Okay. Thank you. So if, and I'm not sure that went well over the microphone, but again, the city attorney recommended if there's any specific information we received in those meetings that we are using as a basis for our decisions tonight, we must disclose that information during our discussions. So thank you for that direction. For those members of the public who are watching on TV, now that we've had the initial staff presentation, we give commission members an opportunity to ask staff questions, then we'll open the public hearing. Traditionally, we give the applicant the opportunity to make the first statement, and then we allow other members of the public to participate. I'll try and have members of the audience participate first, and then we'll see those who are asking to participate online and give them an opportunity. We typically try and limit comments to about 3 minutes, so we'll see how that goes, but we'll be reasonable in making sure everybody has an opportunity to participate. So with that in mind, do any of the commissioners have questions for the staff? And I see Commissioner Johnson, Brent Johnson has questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question, high level. I know that this project does not generate any school impacts just purely by the nature of the age restriction. What is the city's stance on school fees associated with age-restricted projects? Just for the greater education.
The stance is that, yeah, school district fees are paid directly to the school district, and the city doesn't assess them. It doesn't give any exemptions from them. It's entirely a school district function of whether to assess and how much.
Okay, so historically, what has been the case for commercial and multifamily age-restricted properties in the city of Vacaville? Are we paying a reduced fee? No fee?
For commercial projects, they don't pay a school impact fee, and I honestly don't know for other projects.
Okay, and perhaps that's something staff could look into on behalf of the commission, just for better understanding going forward.
Do I have other commissioner questions? Albert, I do have one question. This is a senior restricted apartment. What is the definition of senior for the purpose of this project?
55 or older.
Okay, 55 or older. Thank you. I'm now going to go ahead, since this is a public hearing, I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'm going to ask if the applicant or the applicant's engineer would like to come forward. Please state your name when you come to the lectern, if you do, and make any opening statements before we take other comments or questions from the public. Okay, neither of them indicates that they wish to come forward. Are there members of the audience who would like to come to the commission and address us? Again, all we ask is you let us know your name for the record. I see no one in the audience who wishes to come forward. Crystal, do we have anyone waiting online who wishes to participate?
No, I have no raised hands.
Okay, I'm going to wait about 20 seconds just to make sure if there's anybody online that they have the opportunity to indicate that they wish to participate.
Bob, I have a question.
Okay, we have a question from Commissioner Beaumont while we're waiting. Go ahead.
When I went with the applicant, there was a question of the easement on the north side of the property. It was supposed to be maybe 20 feet wide versus 10 feet wide. And from what I gathered, the city wanted 20, the applicant wanted 10. I didn't see anything in here about that. Maybe it's in there, maybe I missed it. I just wondered what the resolution was on that, Albert.
The resolution was that the easement along the northern boundary will be removed as part of the project, that it'll be part of the project landscaping, pathways, that there's no plan to put any type of connection for pedestrians.
Crystal, do we have anyone who's shown up online wishing to participate?
No, we do have a few people joining by phone only. In the event that they want to raise their hand, they can raise their hand by pressing *9, but I don't see anyone with a raised hand at this time.
Okay, so at
Bob.
this point,
I have one question.
Commissioner Johnson.
With the age restriction being 55 and older, what are the limitations for the age of residents that are not necessarily signing the lease? So I understand, to sign a lease, you have to be 55 and over. Does that prohibit anybody that is less than 55 from living in the community? Perhaps the applicant or Tom can shed some light on that, or Albert.
I'll defer to the applicant on this.
Wait for a moment, let me.
Rich Alexander with Guardian, project manager for the site. Normally what we do with the 55 contracts is the is the one side of the contract has to be 55, but if the relationship such as, and I'm not real good at this, but significant other is less than 55, that is allowed, you know. So, but the primary signer of the contract has to be 55.
So does that prohibit children or school-age children, adult children from living in the community with
In
with
some
a parent?
cases, we have had where 55 signs, they were married to a younger person and they did have teenage kids and they were allowed.
So then that goes back to my question about school fees, that I think it should be better understood as to what impacts this particular project is making on the school district.
As I understand
Potentially.
it from the school, if I can, is that the age restricted, even though it does have that rare point in it, the school fees on this are not charged, you know, because it is for age restricted. That's my understanding in the conversation with the school district. I still have one issue, but maybe this is not the place, Melinda.
Andrea.
Well, the only thing that I wish to bring up is that the city has we pay fees on the gross amount of the project. So if the building is X amount, 10,000 square feet, that's what we pay fees on. The school has in their documents that they will accept fees on the I forget the right word, but only the livable portion. So you don't pay for the walls and you don't pay for the balconies or the you know, garages and such. But the city and the is in conflict with that they only give one number. And I've been asking to get the two numbers. One, pay your fees, and two, get a reduced number for the school district. It is a major impact on us.
Director Barley, are fees within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission?
No, they're not.
Okay, then I'm in the wrong platform.
So this is a place to raise it, but it's not something that we can address one way or the other.
I didn't think so, but I thought I'd throw it out on the table.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander.
All right.
Commissioner Johnson, do you have further question or comment?
I still have an issue with school fees if there's the potential that children are going to be living in this community. And I know we're not the body to discuss that. It's a school district issue. I am curious as to what conversations, if any, have been made with the director of facilities for the school district specific to the potential of children living in this community, and how you would potentially pay a reduced fee, but a fee nonetheless to the school district. So I would like some clarification following this meeting from either staff or the applicant on how they plan to address that.
If I can ask you to, when we come to the end of the meeting under commissioner comments, bring back up, and at that time we'll ask the director to schedule at some time in the future a discussion of school impacts and what the planning commission can or cannot do to try and mitigate those, including fees and environmental documents. If that's okay, we can put that off till the end of the meeting. Thanks, Commissioner. Any other commissioners with questions for the applicant? We do have another member of the public who would like to come up. Again, please state your name for the record.
Thank you. I'm Teresa Stout, a resident here in town. I looked at this on Friday, and it's a beautiful looking project. I just realized something though when the applicant was speaking, that the parking did not look like it was covered, and people over age 55, no offense, may tend to take a little bit longer to get in and out of their cars and to get their stuff in and out. So was the parking covered or not?
May I turn to Mr. Arnott and ask staff to answer that question?
Yes, the project will be providing covered parking.
Okay, and is that, what, one space per unit and it's designated? So everybody will get one again. Looks like Mr. Alexander would like to come up and answer that particular item.
This project is a very unusual project, and we are right now doing about 98% covered parking. There is, the only parking that I recall that is unparking is in the front of the clubhouse where people are coming and going all the time. But your permanent parking all around the project is covered parking.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Nicolai, is there any commentary or questions you would like to have? I think we've outweighted the pause, and it sounds like Commissioner Nicolai does not have any. I don't see anybody else.
No, there isn't. I appreciate it.
It's a longer pause. I got to make sure I give plenty of time for that to go through. Again, it looks like there's no one in the audience who wishes to participate, no one online or on the phone who wishes to participate. So, and again, thank you for bearing with us.
Yeah, thank
Work
you.
through this difficult situation. The public hearing is closed, and we are now open for any further discussion from members of the commission, and if there's no further discussion, for somebody to make a recommendation. So is there any further discussion from commission members? If not, then let's see whose light flashes up first. Looks like Commissioner Beaumont would like to make a motion.
Sure, I'd like to move and reaffirm the general plan environmental impact report and approve the plan development for the Harbison Senior Apartments located at the northwest corner of Harbison Drive and Ulatis Drive, subject to the conditions of approval.
And I saw Commissioner Johnson's light come on second. Is
I'll
that
take the second.
okay? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? I expect in a few moments we'll hear Commissioner Nicolai come through the delay with his
Aye.
vote. Okay, we have recorded a unanimous aye vote. Director Brierly, the disposition of this item.
The Planning Commission's decision is to approve the project as final. Any party who wishes to file an appeal of this must do so within 10 days, and they can contact our office if they wish to do so.
Great. And are there any restrictions on your office being open in order to receive appeals or comments and questions thereof?
At this point, no. We are open. We are closed every other Friday, just by a matter of course. But at this time, we are open. But the situation changes rapidly, and we may have to adapt.
Great. Thank you, Director Byerly. Our second item is 7B, the Alamo Drive. Now, is this Dutch Brothers or Dutch Bros? I don't know which is the official, so I'll go with what's written here. The Alamo Drive Dutch Bros Coffee.
Can I do one more thing?
We've moved on to the next
I
item.
just want to say thank you very much and express my thanks to Albert that left. With that, I will say see you later.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. So this is the application 19326, and Director Brierly, who will be making the presentation.
Angelica Garcia will be making the presentation on Dutch Bros.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, members of the Planning Commission. Staff received a conditional use permit request to construct an 865 square feet drive-through Dutch Bros Coffee at 3500 Alamo Drive. The project site is 0.66 acres in size and includes an 865 square feet single-story building. There's 2 drive-through lanes being proposed that converges into one for payment and pickup. There's also an existing masonry fence along the eastern and southern boundary of the property. The project does include 13 parking spaces with access being provided off of Alamo Drive. And as proposed and conditioned, the project does comply with the development code. So here's the elevations that show the proposed building design. It includes metal and stone veneer. Staff did include a condition of approval for the project to enhance the elevations by using different exterior finishes along the elevation for Alamo Drive. In conclusion, staff supports the project because it meets the required findings, it complies with the general plan. complies with the development standards. It provides employment opportunities and furthers commercial development in the city. And with that, staff recommends for the Planning Commission to adopt the resolution approving the conditional use permit for a new drive-through Dutch Bros Coffee, subject to conditions of approval. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions. The applicant's also here if you have any questions.
Do we have any commissioners with ex parte communications on this item? Seeing none, do we have any commissioner questions for staff? Commissioner Fortney?
Yeah, my question may be leading up to the applicant. I believe, Tom, you can speak at the right time to come up. Traffic's going to be an issue. I know your letter was submitted here. Can you talk about the stacking and the number of cars and what the applicant's doing to mitigate the traffic and how well they're doing at mitigating traffic when that time comes? Thank you.
I also have a question on traffic. For westbound traffic on Alamo, is there a hard median there, or is it simply painted? So would people be able to make a left turn across Alamo to enter the site? I believe we have the city traffic engineer to address that.
Gwen Owens, Public Works. Basically, the entrance is the furthest away from the actual intersection. It's not a hard median. And with that, the thought they'd be able to have full access. If you want to go back to the other one, Angelica, there you go. So the driveway to the right is where they'd enter, and the driveway, the shared access driveway with AM PM is where they would exit. So we tried to pull it away from the intersection as much as possible to avoid those types of conflicts.
Okay. Thank you very much for that information. Okay, I see where that exit driveway is on the overhead. Do we have other commissioners with questions or comments? At which point, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. We'll follow the same process as we did before, with first comments from here at the meeting. Looks like the applicant's engineer would like to address us. Your name, please.
I would indeed. Tom Filippi, Filippi Engineering. Very, very pleased to be here tonight. We have the franchisee with Dutch Bros, Kaylee Slover, is here as well. And to your point, Commissioner Fortney, we worked very, very hard. And in fact, Kaylee and her team is well known throughout the Dutch Brothers organization for their innovation in delivering drinks and moving people through. So it's a little hard, and I apologize, I should have brought a bigger picture, but it's a little hard to see. On the right-hand side, we'll be coming off of Alamo Drive into the site. We have a double stacking lane, and there will be runners that go out to take the orders. And there are, I think, 16 stacking at your existing facility. 16, we have 23 here. So we've been cognizant of the fact that there was a need for more stacking. One of the innovative things that Kaylee and her team came up with is the idea we have an escape lane. So do you have a little pointer? It's, I apologize, I didn't bring that. Okay. Oh, social distancing, I'm sorry. So right here is an escape lane. So the beauty of that is, as people are lined up, there are runners going out, taking the orders and getting things taken care of, and they run the orders out to those cars. So if someone has an issue with a credit card or payment or some issue with their drink wasn't right, they'll go to the front to this window. But the other folks in this queue don't have to go by the front window. They can pay online, they can, or pay the runner, and if they get to this point and they're done, they can just do a quick escape. One of the problems we've had at the existing facility is if there is one person at the window with a problem with the drink, whatever the issue is, you've got everybody backed up who already have their drinks, have already paid. And as Kaylee was telling me the other day, often you'll get 6 or 7 people leave all at the same time. With this system, you'll have some people exit and you'll have people, they can still go to the front, to the window and deal with any particular issues, but they'll have an opportunity to use the escape lane. And that's all it'll be for. You won't be able to enter that way, just the escape lane. So I think this is really innovative. They've had people throughout the Dutch Brothers organization come and see what we're doing here, and we're really excited to present this. So I'm basically here, we're very excited about the project. We think we've taken our lessons learned from the last issue. One of the first things we did when we were looking at this is we sent a site plan to the traffic engineer to get feedback immediately. We tweaked the site plan based on those comments, and so we feel very, very, very good about this project. Here to answer any other questions.
Commissioner Beaumont.
Yeah, Tom, if there's nobody in line, can somebody drive in through the escape lane and go right to the window?
We will have a sign that says "Do not enter." There's a saying I use in traffic. Maybe Gwen will echo it. You can't stop idiots from being idiots. But we hope that nobody will come in. There'll be a sign that says "Do not enter."
And staff is satisfied with the signage that's proposed and covered in the conditions of approval?
Yes, based on the conditions of approval, staff is supported. And just to clarify on the stacking, they're providing 21 spaces. The code requires 8. So they are meeting the code required for drive-through stacking.
Apparently I misspoke. I thought it was 23. But
Are there other questions for the applicant at this point? Thank you. We may call you up if there's other questions.
thank you.
I'm not sure that I formally opened the public hearing. I'm going to make sure that I did formally open it and ask, are there members of the audience who would like to come forward and address this issue? I don't see anyone here in the building. Crystal, are there people who are waiting online who would like to address this issue?
No, I have no raised hands.
Okay. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to? Okay. While we're giving people an opportunity, Commissioner Nicolai, do you have any questions or comments you'd like to address out to the commission or the applicants at this time?
No comments at this time.
Okay, no comments at this time. If no one else has shown up online for the comments, then I'll go ahead and I will close the public hearing and say I appreciate to staff that you apparently have seriously looked at the traffic issues with the existing Dutch Bros that exist at Elmira and Peabody and worked with the applicant and the engineer for the site layout on this one. I think that if we had not tried to address that, this is something that could be an issue. And so thank you for the work on that. Do we have questions or comments from the commissioners on this item before I ask for a motion?
Bob?
Seeing Commissioner Beaumont.
Yeah, I just want to make a point that I think it's only fitting that it's Joe's last meeting and we approve a drive-in coffee shop for him.
We will make note in the record of the irony of his last formal vote being regarding a coffee shop. Would anyone, as a matter of fact, Commissioner Nicolai, would you like to make a motion on this item?
Yeah.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion on this item then, since I couldn't hear Commissioner Nicolai?
Yes, I would.
Okay, go ahead.
I appreciate it. If you could put up the graphic so I can see it.
Okay, the graphic is up. We'll give a few seconds for you to have a chance to read through and respond.
And thank you for your kindness. I appreciate that. I move that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution approving the conditional use permit for a new drive-through Dutch Brothers Coffee, subject to conditions of approval.
Do I have a second? I have a second from Commissioner Johnson and Aldrich both on that. I will now call for the
And
vote.
thank you, Commissioner Beaumont.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, indicate by saying no. Any abstentions? And since Commissioner Nicolai made the motion, I will record his as an aye. We
Aye.
have a unanimous approval of it. Mr. Brierly, the disposition.
The Planning Commission's decision was to approve the conditional use permit. This decision is final unless appealed. If anyone wants to appeal, they need to do so within 10 days, and they should contact our office for information on how to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Brierly. Item number 8A and 8B have already been continued to the next meeting. So now is item number 9, status reports on development and major projects. Director Brierly?
So Angelica Garcia will give the report on current planning, and then I'll give it a report on advanced planning.
Thank you. For the month of February, current planning received 5 development review applications. We received a time extension request for the Potter's Place North Tentative Subdivision Map and Plan Development Approval, and it was to construct a 12-lot subdivision with 20 dwelling units on the north side of Potter's Court. The project was originally approved by the Vacaville Planning Commission on February 2018. Staff also received a modification request to remodel the existing Regency Park Plaza that's located at 661 Elmira Road. We also received 3 administrative clearance requests for accessory structures and decrease in rear yard coverage and rear yard setbacks. Current planning for the month of February approved 2 development applications. The Director of Community Development approved a design review request to construct an approximately 4,500 square feet administration building over at Public Works Corporation Yard. And the director also approved an administrative clearance request to increase lot coverage for a patio cover. We received 26 home occupation permits and approved 19. The Planning Division reviewed 38 building permit applications, a lot of plot plans for Brighton Landing for the different villages. And we received 3 zoning verification requests and 88 planning counter inquiries.
Advanced planning has 3 major projects working on. One is the code update, and we're working diligently on that. As you noted, we have a draft of the administrative procedures that we hope to give a more extensive presentation on next month. Certainly, if any of the public or commissioners have comments on that between now and the next meeting, we'd be happy to hear those. We also continue working on the downtown plan. The City Council did adopt the streetscape and connectivity plan, which was part of the downtown plan. And we continued working on that. Current issues that we're working on is our favorite topic, parking, and how to best manage parking in downtown, and also how to promote housing downtown. And the third major project we're working on is the Green Tree specific plan. At this time, we're working on scoping the environmental studies, including the traffic study for that. And that concludes the advanced planning report. I move on to the director's report. Okay.
Planning Commission items, and then a tentative schedule for future Planning Commission items.
Okay, so the City Council, their March 10th meeting, they approved a suspension of the planned growth ordinance requirements. There was a bill passed in the legislature that declared there to be a housing crisis between now and 2024. And during the housing crisis, local governments are prohibited from enforcing any regulation that would act as a cap on the number of building permits that can be issued during 1 year. We analyzed our planned growth ordinance and found that it fell under that provision. And so we asked the council, and the council did suspend that ordinance until the end of 2024.
One moment, please. Commissioner Johnson.
Barton, for those at home, could you elaborate and maybe provide some clarity as to the numbers that the city was hitting without removing that requirement as far as number of permits pulled, and how we were under our limit on an annual basis anyways? So from a impact standpoint, it's not making much of a difference historically.
Yes, so the planned growth ordinance, how it operates is kind of complicated to explain, but it does place a limit on the number of lots that you can give final plat to, final map to, or the number of apartment units that you can approve in any year. And that's set at 750 or can be up to 1,000 under some circumstances. It does allow applicants to enter into development agreements and phasing plans to exceed that number. And the reality is most developments we have development agreements and phasing plans, so aren't subject to that limit. And so there is a allocation that we're allowed each year. And over the last decade, last year was the busiest year in a decade when we did 378 units. So we haven't hit near that at all. I think one point of significance is like the Harbison Senior Apartment Complex that we approved tonight. Without this suspension, they would have to go to the council and get an allocation. Under the suspension, they don't. But even with that, we would be well under the cap.
Thank you. Proceed with your report, please.
Okay. So the March 24th City Council is intended to be a very limited agenda. We don't have any planning items on that, and it'll be a shorter meeting than this. And then we expect on April 14th to deliver the general plan status report to the City Council. The Planning Commission's next meeting, which is scheduled for April 21st, we plan on presenting to you again the Roberts Ranch Development Agreement extension. We discovered that we had made an error in noticing that, and so we want to bring that again to you just to provide anyone who we failed to provide proper notice to the opportunity to comment on that. We also expect to have the Papin Commercial Project. It's a project on Leisure Town Road at Elmira Road. And the Park Parish Project, which is in Southtown, just north of Magnolia Park. And then the code update that we're going to do tonight will expect to be on April 21st. And the general plan update.
And I understand April 21st would be any new commission members would be sworn in?
Yes. And to report on that, this was the time for new commissioners to get appointed. I can report that Doug Beaumont was reappointed, Jan Aldrich was reappointed, and we have a new commissioner, Ralph Lightfoot, who is appointed, and he will assume Joe Nicolai's seat on the commission. And so this will be Joe Nicolai's last meeting after many, many years as former chair, and I can report that I called Commissioner Nicolai and thanked him profusely for his many years of service, and I think he's been a great commissioner, has been a great asset for our community, and will be missed. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Barton. Now our opportunity for commissioner comments. I want to start with Commissioner Johnson. I know you had specific interest in a follow-up for school issues. So do you want to bring anything further up on that for a formal request to the director?
I don't particularly think that it is a planning staff issue. I do believe it to be prudent that the school district should look into a fee schedule associated with commercial and age-restricted residential developments. I know plenty of other municipalities that have a fee structure that's specifically designed to still implement fees for projects that ostensibly do not create further impacts to the schools, but still kind of pay their fair share, because the bottom line is our school district needs these fees to construct new facilities, and the more we can get, the better. So I think that's a school district issue, but we should maybe tighten the screws on them to get looking at it, if they're not already.
And Barton, I think it would be good for us to at least know what authorization, what jurisdiction we have over school districts. So if at some point in the fairly near future, that could be a presentation to the commission on exactly what role we do or don't play in regards to school impacts and fees, I think we'd find that useful, and I'm guessing the members of the public would find that useful also. Okay. The last commissioner I'm going to give a chance for comments is Commissioner Nicolai, and I want to give everybody else who has comments an opportunity first. Mr. Beaumont.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Joe for all his years of service to the city of Vacaville through the Planning Commission. He's given his time and his expertise and been much appreciated. And I think it's 16 years, might be more, but Joe can elaborate on that. But thank you, Joe. We really appreciate it. And I know you'll do more for the city, even not being on the planning commission, so thank you.
Commissioner Brent Johnson, any other comments? Commissioner Fortney?
Good, thank you.
Commissioner Eldridge?
Yes. Is my mic on when this is flashing?
Commissioner Eldridge?
Yes, I would also like to thank Joe. I've served on the commission with him for a number of years, and he will be dearly missed, but I know he'll be out there in the community doing his thing as he always does. So Joe, Godspeed, and we'll keep in touch.
Commissioner Alan Johnson?
Thank you. I am on. A couple things. First of all, Commissioner Nikolai, I wanted to also thank, I've known him for a very long time, 12 months now, but it's been a pleasure knowing him, and I do appreciate anybody who does this work. I know it takes a lot to give up your weekends to read through these agenda packets and be informed like he does, so I just wanted to say thank you as well for that. I also wanted to say thank you to the city for two more things. At the beginning of the month, myself and several others went to a Planning Commissioner Academy. So I want to say thank you for sending me to that. We did get quite a lot of valuable information, legislative updates, a lot about our RENA numbers that are going to hit us. Good information for planning commissioners to know, so thank you for sending me to that. And also thank you, Fred had taken us on a little driving tour of the property inventory in the city, and that was also very informative. So I want to, let people know that we are out there, we're learning about this stuff that we're voting on, and thank you to the city for making that happen.
Thanks, Alan. Commissioner Nikolai, I thank you. As you've heard that a number of times, I'm going to add my thanks to it. It's a lot of years of service you put in, and your wisdom has helped to guide the city forward. And I'm going to give you the last comment we have this evening, followed only by when I adjourn it. So Joe will give you time to get past the delay and then all the time to speak that you'd like.
I'll just take a second here. I just want to thank the city of Vacaville. It's been a privilege serving on the Planning Commission. It's been a privilege serving with all of you. The planning commissioners over the years have just been unbelievable. And I want to thank the city. Without their support, I couldn't have done anything. They have been unbelievable over the years. They've given me everything I've needed, and I just want to thank them. So it's been a privilege meeting all of you, and it's been a privilege serving the city of Vacaville. And I know you're going to say good night, city of Vacaville, Bob, but I'm also going to say good night, Vacaville, as well.
With that, thank you all who have participated. Thank you, and in the name of a great commissioner we've had, Commissioner Nikolai, we are adjourned. Good night, Vacaville.